Hello everyone, welcome back again. My name is Jesse, and in this wonderful tutorial, I'm trying to see how to build a very simple app with Streamlit. So this is using the Car Evaluation Dataset to be able to evaluate a car, whether it is good, of a good quality, or is not of a good quality, right? Whether it is acceptable or not acceptable. So that's something very basic. So if I come to the sidebar here, we have three different sections. We have our EDA, we have our prediction, and we have our about. So if I come to the ED aspect, you can just do the simple basic ED aspect of it. Can show the summary of our data set here. Very interesting. You can also view a value count of our data set, which is quite interesting. Very interesting, right? So we have acceptable, unacceptable, acceptable, and then good, and then very good. So this is usually like an imbalanced data set. Then if I check for the pie plot, you can just see something very interesting. Very simple, right? Which based on our classes, so we have 70% unacceptable. So this is totally imbalanced, right? So you have to work on it well. Then I can select various columns to show using the normal select box or multi-select option. So I can select several columns. So I can select the safety and then compare the safety together with the class, right? Very simple and very interesting. That is the basic stuff about the EDA, right? Something very simple. Now let's go to the prediction aspect. So if I go to the prediction, I can actually predict based on the parameters I supply. So we have several parameters. You can have our buying level, so I can set it as very high or very low or low. Then I can set the maintenance level as maybe medium. Then the number of doors to 3. Then I can select the number of persons using this particular option. So 4. Then the lag boot to big. Then the safety, let's leave the safety as high. So it's going to give us the result of all the options that we selected here, right, in a very nice format, which I can bring it up and bring it down. Then I can also see the data that has been encoded. This is something for the user, but this is for the machine learning model, right, which has been encoded. Then I'll just select the particular model. So we have logistic regression, we have naive Bayes, and we have MLP, which is multi-layer perceptron using neural network from sklearn, right? So if I click on logistic regression and I click on evaluate, it's going to analyze this particular stuff and give us as acceptable. I can also use a different model. Then if I click on evaluate, it's going to give us a very good, right? Totally different. Very cool. So that's what we're trying to build in this particular tutorial. So let's see how to build this from scratch. So let's set up every place to be working. Perfect. So if I come back here, so this is quite empty, and we have two different folders. If I go with tree, we have my data set, and then we also have my models. So we have three different models. So logistic gradient model, our naive Bayes model, and then our neural network using MLP, right? Multi-layer perceptron model. So these are the models we'll be using, and this is the data set we'll be working on. So let's work on this. I'm just going to create a file called app.py. Then this is where we'll be working. So I'm just going to open this particular file .py. Then we start writing some code. Very, very interesting. So this is an empty file with nothing. This is the old one. So this is an empty file with nothing on it, right? So we're building everything from scratch. So let's see how to work with it. So I'm just going to close the old app, and then let's start. So it's going to import our core packages. Then we're also going to have our ML package, EDA packages. We also have our database packages. Right, perfect. So let's see how to work with this. So I'm just going to come back to the same place, then import our core package. Is going to be import Streamlit as st. Then you'll be importing OS to help us. Then finally you import job lib. Right, very interesting. So this is to help us with loading our model. Then for the EDA, we just be importing pandas. So import pandas as PD. Then we're also going to import numpy to help us with our reshaping of our data set. So numpy as np. Very interesting. Then for our database, we could just be importing our famous matplotlib. So matplotlib .pyplot as plt. Then you import matplotlib, then we'll be using matplotlib.use agg, right, to help us with our plot. Then you can also import seaborn in case you want to use seaborn as SNS, right? Very interesting. But you will not be using seaborn, so in case you want to use seaborn to help you with the plot. Very interesting. So we are done with our packages. Now let's see how to build our app. So first of all, just going to be using create a main function. Then this main function is going to go with some basic doc string of, let's say, car ml app, something like that. Then let's go with st.title, which is going to be car evaluation ml app, something like that, right? Then st.subheader, passing built with Streamlit. Streamlit is so cool, right? Very interesting, something very simple, right? Perfect. Then we have to close it with our if main so that we can run it well. That is all that we need. Now let's create our basic menu. So this is going to be our menu. Let's call it menu. So it's going to be our, we can just call it as activities, but let's call it as menu. Can call it any name. Then our menu is going to have 3. We're going to have our EDA. Then we're going to have our prediction. Then we're going to have the next one, which is going to be our about. Right, you can call this one activity, you can call it menu, anyhow you want it to be. Let's change it today. Very simple. Then the next thing is going to be that you're going to create our choices, which is going to be our choices to be st.select box. So we are using select box, but let's put it at the sidebar dot select box. Then I'm passing my select menu, or let's go select activities, and I'm passing my menu. Perfect. So from here I can just use a simple if condition to help us select the particular menu. So it's going to be if my choice is equal to EDA, then I want you to go with my EDA option. It's going to be EDA, right? Else if my choice is equal to my prediction, then I want you to go with st.subheader, then go with the next option, which is going to be my prediction. Very simple. Then the final one is going to be if my choice is equal to about, then choose the about option. st.subheader about. So these are the 3 main activities to be working on, right? Very interesting. So let's see what you have done so far. So I come back to my terminal, then this is where the app is. So to run it, we just go with pip env run streamlit run, then the name of the app. So in case you are not working in a virtual environment, just go with streamlit run app.py, right? But because I'm working inside a virtual environment here, that's why I'm using pip env run, right? But in case you're not using virtual environment, just go with streamlit run app and it's still going to work. So it's going to use this particular port, which has already opened here. So I just copy this one from here. Let's use Chrome to help us with it. So I just come back to here and I'll paste it here. Perfect. So perfect, right? So it's working perfectly well. So that is using a new version of Streamlit with the recording a screencast and all of these various interesting stuff. Perfect, right? So we have our menu, EDA, our prediction, and our about. Everything is working as expected. Cool, right? Now let's see how to work with our EDA. So first of all, I'm just going to create a function to load our data set. So let's use something like def load data, and I'll pass in my data set. Then I'll use something very simple to return it. So let's use something, let's go to as df. It's going to be my pd.read underscore csv. Then I'll pass in my data. So I'll pass in the data here. Very simple. Perfect. Then I'll return it. So return my df. Right. So I can just put the st.cache above. Perfect, right? Something very simple. So let's save this one here. Perfect. So let's always run. Perfect, right? So now I just come back to my EDA here. Then from here, I'm just going to go with something very simple. So let's call it as my data, which is going to be my load data. Now passing my data. So this data is found inside my data folder here, my Car Eval dataset. So I just come back to the same place that I have. Then I'll pass it here as my data / Car Eval dataset .csv. Right. So if I save it and I come back here, now it's going to, let's go back to the ED aspect, Perfect. So nothing is showing. The reason nothing is showing that you are supposed to tell Streamlit to show it. So I just come back down here and go with st.dataframe. Now passing my data, right? If I pass in my data here, it's now going to show it perfectly for us. It's going to show all of them, which is going to be quite huge. Very, very interesting. But let's reduce it to 10. So I just go with here dot head to just 10 values. So it's going to just show 10 values, right? Very interesting. Perfect. So we are done with one. Now let's work on the other aspect of our EDA, which is going to be for our description. So let's go to if st.checkbox. Then this is going to be something like, let's say, show summary of dataset. Then I'm just going to go with my st.write. Now passing my data.describe. Right, so there's something very simple. So if I come back here, it's going to print that one for us. So if I go with show summary, it's going to show the summary of our dataset. Very interesting. I can transpose it in case you want. And I can also do the same thing for the next one, which is going to be st. Let's say checkbox for the shape. So show shape, which can be st.write. This is as many as you want, not shape. So if I come back to this one, it's going to give us the shape, right? Very interesting. So we are done with 2 of them. Now let's work on the value count. So in case I want to plot the value, so this is going to be our plot. It's going to be if st.checkbox, then I'll call it as my value count plot. So this can be very simple. Using a simple value count function, we're going to be st.write, and I'll be using my data, using the class. So the class is referring to this particular class column that we have here. For my data set, you have a class column, so I'm using this one to do our value count. And I just go with my dot value count. Right, that is something very simple. So with this value count, I can actually plot for my, you can use Seaborn to help you do that. You can also use value count, any of them. Then I'll use the normal dot plot. Then the kind of the plot is going to be bar. Perfect. Then for me to see the plot, because I'm using matplotlib, I just go with st.py plot. So if I save it, now if I come back here, my value count, I can see that particular plot. Perfect, right? So we are done with one of the plots. Now let's work on our pie chart. All of this thing can be made else if, right? But let's go with my if st.checkbox. Then I'll pass in the other one, which is going to be for my pie charts. So the pie chart, you'll be using the same thing. So I just come back to this top here, copy this same code above, but instead of it being bar, it's going to be pi. So I just take off this, then go with pi. Then I'll pass in a particular auto percentage. So it's going to be auto percentage, right? So if I save it and I come back here, now it's going to bring it out perfectly fast. So with my pie chart, I can see my auto percentage, right, in a very simple, very nice way. Wow, that is very nice, right? This is totally an imbalanced data set, so you can use inblend to help you balance it, right? Perfect. Something very interesting. Now we are done with our ED aspect, so let's move on to our prediction, right? So to work with our prediction, just shift to the prediction option, which is empty here. Now let's work on the prediction. So I just come back to my prediction aspect. Then for the prediction, we'll be trying to work on it in a simple way, using the various classes to set our parameters, right? So let's go on with this option of going to, let's say, buy-in. It's going to be my st.select box, and I'm going to tell the user to select the buy-in level. Then I'm going to pass in the various parameters. So if you check our app here, you can see that with our app we have, if you go to the EDA aspect, we have very high, we have several different values here, right? So we want to show the user the option of selecting any of these values, right? So how do we do that? So I'm just going to go to the top of my file, and then I'm going to paste in a dictionary, that which I used to encode our dataset, right? So I'll paste it here. So this is going to be a dictionary. So we're going to have a dictionary that consists of all the various values and then their encoding, right? Very interesting for all of them, as well as for the class labels. And then we have created two functions, one to get the keys, right? These are the keys. We want to get the keys from this our dictionary, and want to get the values from our dictionary. So this is to get our values, and this is to get our keys. Very simple function. So I'll save this one here. Now I'll come back to this same place that we had. Then I'll convert my dictionary, which is this particular dictionary here, into a list, right? To get only these particular values, so that the user can see that particular value. So I'll just come back to this same place and use tuple. Then I'll pass in my buying label dot keys. So I save this one here, and I come back here. Let's check it again at the prediction section. I go to the prediction option, can see that it's showing it here. Very interesting, right? So we have very high, low, medium, high. Very interesting, right? So which is quite useful for the user. Perfect. Now let's see the next option. So I'll be using the same thing for the maintenance. Go to ment. I'll use the same thing, st.select box. I'll pass in select maintenance level. Then I'll pass in the same tuple above, which is going to be my tuple. Then I'll pass in my ment label dot keys. Right, very simple. Then I'll do the same thing for the next one, which is going to be my doors. So I'll copy the same thing here. So copy this and paste it here, and then modify these ones to number of doors. Select number of doors for the car, which is going to be the same thing. So this is going to be my door label. So doors label. Then the next one is going to be the number of persons. So this is going to be persons. So the first person is going to be st.number input. We are using number input for the persons. Then so select number of persons. So we are selecting the number of persons that we want to use, right? Very simple. Then here I'll just use a value of 2 and then 10. So 10 is the maximum, 2 is the least, right? For our car, we can make it 1. So, but let's make it any of them. So if I save it, I make it this one as 2. That means that the number of people that can take is 2. But most cars don't take 1 person. At most 2, at least 2, right? The driver and then the next person sitting by. So if I come back here, and now we see that you have our select number of persons here, then you can just go up like that. Everything is working as expected. So the next one we need is to work on the safety and the boot. So it's going to be my log boot. It's going to be st.select. You're using the same thing above. Then you select the same thing. So let's go to select log boot. Then I'll pass in the same thing. So it's going to be a tuple that takes the log boot label dot keys. Perfect. So the last one is going to be the safety. So this is going to be my safety, which is going to be the same thing as above. Then let's go with the same thing here. So I'll copy this one here, and then I'll paste it here. So this is going to be select safety level. So this is going to be safety. Perfect. So if I save it and let's check and see what you have done so far. So everything is working. So our safety has all the various levels: high, medium, low. Very interesting. So the next thing we need to do is that we need to be able to work on the rest, right? So which is going to be, we have gotten our values. Now how do we work with it with the machine learning? So first of all, we're going to show the user what the user selected, and then show the ML algorithm what is selected, right? So first of all, let's call this one as V for buying. So we're getting these particular values That's why I'm calling it as v from our dictionary, right, using this particular get value function. So it's going to be this. So it's going to be get value, and I'm passing the buy-in and then a buy-in label. So if I go with st dot right my v buy-in, then you can see that that's actually gotten the value, right? So if I come back here, so that this is 0, right? Because if I choose medium is going to be 2, this is 2, right? So this is what will be sent to the ML algorithm, our model, right? So that is the basic idea. So I'll be using the same thing for the rest. So I'll copy it and paste it here so that it becomes easy. So I'll paste this one here. Then this is what I'll be pasting, but I'm also going to make sure that I have a pretty data, which is going to be like a dictionary that has all of these things there, right? So I'm going to have, let's say, my buy-in and then the actual value here, right? So that we show the pretty data, we show the user what he selected, and we are going to show the machine learning algorithm what these values means, right? That's the basic idea. So I'll copy it and paste it here. So this is going to be the encoding values here for all of them, then the prettified data here, right? So if I save this one here, and then let's come back to st.json, using JSON to bring out our pretty data, it's going to bring it out perfectly so that you see what I mean. So this is something to the user so that the user knows what he is or she selected, right? Very interesting. Let's put this one at the top here as st.subheader, and let's go to as options selected, right? So that the user knows that this is what he or she selected. So if I change this one from high to medium, I'm going to change here to medium, right? As you can see, so the user knows what he has selected. But for the machine learning algorithm, these things may not make sense. You have to convert them, you have to encode them, label encode them. So we'll be coming back here, then let's encode this one. So let's call this one as encoded. It's going to be encoded. It's still part of encoding, but let's go to st.subheader. Let's go to data encoded as. We're going to create a sample list, which is going to be called sample data. Then I'll pass in that particular list. So this is going to be the list with all the values encoded, right? These values that we have: vbind, vdos, vlag, vsafety here. So I'm just going to paste it here as my vbind. Then this one is going to be my v maintenance, like that, right? Right, perfect. That's the basic idea. Now I can show the user these particular values by going st dot right, rather. Now passing these values, which is going to be my sample data. So if I save this one here, consider now these values have been encoded. So this is what will be sent to the ML algorithm for you to understand, right? Perfect. Now that is something very cool, but this is going to be sent as a sample, but you want to as different one dimensional. I want you to send it as 2-dimensional, right? So we'll try and see how to work with it. So let's work on the ML aspect. So I'm just going to come back, let's expand this, then add the various machine learning models. So let's go to model choice, the different model choice that to be using, which is going to be st.select box, and let's go to as model choice. Then apologies, now pass in my logistic regression model, logistic regression. It's too long. Then the next one is going to be my naive Bayes. Then the final model that you'll be using is going to be my MLP, multi-layer perceptron neural network classifier. Right, so these are the 3 different models, and all of these models can be found inside our models folder here, right? So we have our logistic regression, our naive Bayes, and our NN neural network multi-layer perceptron classifier model coming from sklearn. Perfect. And then that is the basic idea, right? So we have done something. Now we have to select it. So let's go to F my st.button. We're going with evaluate, right? We can use predict, but let's call it evaluate. Then now I can work on it. So let's say that if my model choice is equal to logistic regression, then I want you to use the logistic regression model, right? So let's go to as predictor, going to be my plausible regression model. So I'm going to create a function to load it. So I'll come back to the top of my file here, then I'll create a simple function to load model. So this is going to be def.load prediction model, which is going to take my model file. Then I'll just use joblib. So joblib, you can call it as loaded model using joblib.load. Then I'll pass in my use open os.path.join. I'll pass in my model file. Then I'll read it as read byte. Close it. Perfect for that. Perfect for this. Here. See what I did here. Right, perfect. Something very cool. Then I'll just return that one. So return loaded model. Perfect. So this must be this option. Perfect, right? So now we have a function to load our models, which is coming from our models folder here, right? So I'll come back to my choices down here. If that is the case, use the load prediction model, then go inside my models folder and then select my logit car model.pickle. So these models have already been prepared, so it's going to be a link to the dataset, to the notebook in which it was prepared, right? Perfect. Then I'm just going to go to my prediction. It's going to be my predictor dot predict, and I pass in my sample data. But if I pass in the sample data, then let's go test dot right. My prediction is going to give us an error. The reason it's going to give us an error is that this our data set is being seen as a 1D. We need it as a 2D. We need to reshape it well. If I save it and I come back here and I go back to the evaluate, it's going to give us an error. So it's running, working, perfect. So expected 2D got 1D. So we have to reshape data set. So that is where NumPy comes inside, right? So we'll come back to the same place that we had. So using NumPy, which we imported from here, to reshape our data set. So I'll come back to the same place that we have, which is here. Let's reshape our data. So let's go as prep data, prepare data. Then I'll use numpy.array. I'll pass in my sample data. Now reshape it. Reshape. So I'm reshaping it in a different format in which it is easy for it to be understood and then to be able to be seen as a 2D, right? Not as a one-dimensional array, right? That is the basic idea behind what we are trying to do. It's going to be 1 minus 1. Very interesting, right? So now I can send this prep data here into my here. So if I save it here and I run it, and let's come back to here. So if I go with evaluate, it's now going to understand it as a 2-dimensional array and give us 1, which is very true. But 1 is not user friendly. What does it mean to the user, right? So you have to encode this one, make it easy for the user to understand. So I'm just going to come back to the same place and run a final result. Then I'll use the get key to loop at the prediction itself, then the prediction or the class label. So we have our class label here. If you can remember, we have our class label. So good, acceptable, very good, acceptable, unacceptable. So the user will be able to understand what it means. So it's going to fetch this particular key, right? That is the basic idea. So perfect. Now I can just go to st.success. Then I'll pass in my final result. So I save this one and I come back here and I run it again. Evaluate it, and now it's acceptable, right? So it's easy for the user to know what it means. So let's take off this one because we don't need this one. Now we have gotten one model. We need to be able to work on the remaining model. So I'll copy this one here. Then we can just use else if. So let's go with else if. So it's going to be else if our model choice is called to naive base. Then I want you to use the NB model, right? Naive base model. If it is called to multi-layer perceptron classifier, MLP classifier, then I want you to use my neural network. I don't know if you know that scikit-learn had a neural network algorithm. So NNF, right? Perfect. So if I save it now and I come back here to the same thing that we have. So we have different models, naive base, evaluate. Perfect, right? It's working perfectly. Let's use the multi-layer perceptron, evaluate. Very good. Very cool, right? So that is something very simple that you have built so far. So the basic idea of all that you have built is that we first of all imported our core packages here, which is Streamlit, and then OS to help us to load out, to check our file, JobLib to load our model, our EDA packages, pandas to load our dataset, and then NumPy to reshape our dataset, our visualization packages, and then we created a function to load our dataset. We have our labels for all the data that you are working with. We have two functions to get our key and our value and a key. I return it, and then one function to load our model. Then we created our main function with 3 different menus or 3 different activities. Then we use a simple if condition to help us with that. That is something very basic and something very simple. So in case you have not subscribed to the channel, you can subscribe to the channel, and also check the links below for some interesting materials, some interesting resources to help you master machine learning and Python, as well as building CLI tools. So that is something very basic. So let's come back here and let's try something very simple. So here let's select a different high, select for the maintenance level low, number of doors, let's go with 5 or more. Then we just choose this, let's make it 5, 4, big, safety, high. So that this is the result that's given to us. Now this has been encoded. If I click on evaluate, it's going to select and give us our result. Very good. Let's choose a different model, naive base, evaluate, acceptable. So that is the basic idea about how to build a simple machine learning app with Streamlit using the Car Evaluation Dataset. So thank you for watching and see you in the next session. Stay blessed.